Game two. Wow. So basically, what happened was it was a very even split between the Atlanta Reign and the Philadelphia Fusion. And thankfully, the Fusion won 3 to 2, but to be honest, my heart was racing. It was a really close match. The Atlanta Reign did great. DeFran led the team very well. Their support classes were doing excellently, playing aggressive, playing coordinated. But thankfully, Fusion brought it back after a one game deficit for half the time, and it went to map 5, which is the tiebreaker map. And on that fifth map, that final map, what happened was the final portion of it went to 99% capture versus 99% capture. So it was down to the wire. It was crazy. But in any event, the Fusion won, which is great, obviously. 3-2, really close. And I will say I was pretty pleased with their performance. The one thing that I got nervous about, though, especially in the closest of games with Map 5 specifically, was how there were times where the Fusion would stand a bit back. They play a little too defensively, and Sato would basically be the only one going in and playing aggressive, and to an extent, Poco, while everyone else was hanging back. Now, that can be a positive in some situations because you don't want to just rush in recklessly and then die instantly and have to respawn. But I think the Fusion could have gotten a little more aggressive, a little more offensively minded, and perhaps they could have taken it in 3 maps. But in any event, looking at the team, going over power rankings, Carpe was chosen as the MVP. And this might be a controversial opinion because he's the most popular player, my favorite player. But in my opinion, the best player for the second game was not Carpe, it was Poco. Poco was someone that was very consistent throughout, from what I noticed. He was constantly racking on the damage as Diva against Atlanta and was focused on a little bit of everyone. He didn't get caught up in too many bad situations, and the Atlanta Reign weren't really able to corner him well, from what I could tell. Second place, and I think I underrated him a little bit in the first game, Boombox. His healing was on point. His support was on point. Very impressed with Boombox's gameplay. He looked amazing, and he might become my new favorite player eventually if he keeps it up. Then I would put Carpe in third. He did pretty well, just like usual. He did very well even, but I think Boombox was a little underrated by myself and also by the announcers, and I think Poco has been very, very consistent. Fourth, I would put Sato because he played aggressively at times, a little too aggressively, but it was less so this time than in game one. I think he balanced that very well for this game. I just think that the top three did slightly better, were key players in very key situations. And then looking at 5 and 6, I probably put Neptuno in 5. On the early maps, especially maps 1 and 2, Neptuno looked great with Lucio and healing, and also speed boosting the rest of the team. And then EQO I would put in 6th. I think he did well with pairing up with Neptuno and Boombox as well, but he's been a little quieter than the other 5. So he's someone that, while he did do pretty decently in this game, it's just that the other cast members, if you want to call them that, I think are more standout, especially Carpe, because he's won 2 MVPs so far. One for Game 1, one for Game 2. And if the Fusion do win Game 3 against the Hangzhou Spark, then I expect him to get it again. But in any event, I think the Fusion had a solid Game 2, even though it was really close and it made me sweat for sure. And hopefully they do well with Game 3. So until next time, go Fusion, go.